it really sounds like you guys are really focused on your employees. Once you bring them in, you know that they are great at what they do. And it sounds like you're super focused, hyper focused on them and their growth. I love that. You must have a really low turnover rate, I'm assuming, right?
We do. Our average tenure here, if we look at, the whole company, which is about 600 team members plus, is around 20 years. So that is
Wow.
it's kind of remarkable, especially in this day and age. And also the fact that, about 80% of our team members are doing labor a lot of the time. And so, but those, a lot of our folks that are in our warehouse, we have a 90% internal promotion rate.
Wow.
So it's quite high,
Right.
and we want to make it even higher. And part of that is our growth. We've had a lot of growth as a company since we've been around over 38 years, but also kind of the future of where we're going. And the future of where they can be. And I think that the team really sees that too. That helps with the retention, is that they have a voice in where we're going to go. They have a voice in the direction. And as we plan on our volume increasing, as the growth of what we're seeing, that
Right.
means opportunities are there for them.
I
And
love that. That's such a huge plug for small to mid-sized businesses. Why would talented people want to go work for these large organizations that are currently laying off a ton, right? You're nothing but a number there. And you've got, a company like BBJ La Tova, oh my gosh.
you're good. La
La
Tavola. Yep.
Tavola.
Yep.
Say that 5 times
La
fast.
Tavola. Yes.
La,
If you want to be, yes.
La Tovala.
Yes.
I like that. I mean, that's such a huge, I think, a huge investment in your employees, and not a lot of even the small companies, even though they care about their employees, I don't necessarily see them doing that. So I think that's like a huge value add to any business owner that needs to kind of pick it up and really show that they're, paying attention to their employees. I love that.
Yeah, I mean, I think, we've been family owned, we're PE now. And I think, if you think of this size organization, whether we were 200 people or 600 people that we are now, giving your people the voice to make the difference in where you go, that's what all generations want. If you think of the generational gaps, and we talk so much about like the generational differences that we have in our work pool right now, and there are so many. We have 4 different generations working right now.
Yeah,
But
that's
one
crazy.
thing, right? But one thing that's truly, the same is that we all want our voice to be heard, and we want to make a difference. And that might mean something different in each generation, how they want their voice heard and how they want to communicate, but that's universally the same.
Mm-hmm. No, I was over here taking notes, and I was kind of writing the same thing that Ashley just said about employee retention. And that's such a huge topic right now, whether or not companies are doing layoffs, but also employees wanting to stay at their current company, especially throughout the past couple of years. That's huge. And the fact that your employee retention rate is as high as it is, that says a lot. And about the culture there, about the management, how things are ran, that's huge. So it's a huge selling point whenever hiring new employees as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And, I think our industry in general, we've gone through a lot of changes, the event industry. And, in the midst of the pandemic, a lot of us talked about kind of like that phoenix of what we're coming through as a company, going through it all, and the boom of what we saw last year. But that was really just the tip of the iceberg of what we're seeing in the event world. So it's a really interesting time for us as an industry in general, because the progression of what we're seeing this next year, I mean, event spaces are sold out for next year.
Mm-hmm.
Corporations are back. And so we have this double down of social business happening, corporate business coming back, and the future of what we see. People want to be together. People want to celebrate. People want to have, time to be able to, whether it's a birthday party or quinceanera or wedding or a gala, like they want these events. And our industry has this great rejuvenation of what it is. And, the industry had a fallout with people because it had that mass change. But, we were very lucky to go through it differently as a company, because we pivoted very fast. But, as an industry, it was different. But we also are going through that Phoenix as well too, where because we've been around for so long,
Right.
we have a lot of newness coming in our company too, where we've had a lot of team members that have been with us for 20 years, 30 years, and some of them retired. Some of them decided that during the pandemic, they were like, okay, I've been around for 25 years. Now I'm just going to retire and it's time. So we've had to bring in a lot of new people as well. But the great thing about that is this wonderful new perspective of how we do business, a new way of how we're doing things, with our really experienced and seasoned team members kind of guiding the light as well too. So it's really exciting to see kind of the blend of the two worlds together.
That's interesting. So you feel like obviously you guys went through this huge crash. I don't know. I don't even want to really talk about 2020, right? It's so played out. But to
Sure.
your point, you're an event company. That is your business. So you guys must have been, for lack of a better term, freaking out during that
Yeah.
time.
Oh yeah.
Is there like one, and you mentioned a couple different things, or you highlighted a couple different things just recently, but was there like a specific thing that made you guys kind of come into this rebirth of, okay, we're going to do this differently this way this time? And did what was it? Was it one thing? Was it a couple things? How did you kind of like reinvent yourself and kind of come out of the ashes?
Yeah. I mean, we never really stopped. We only shut down for a week, which is very
Really?
different than everyone else. I know it's we're very fortunate because we have all of our sewers in house and we have mills relationship with mills all over the world. We pivoted and we made gowns for hospitals. So we made a quick decision, made gowns for hospitals. We supported a lot of hospitals in need, not hospitals that had the spend and fund to be able to buy that were getting the gowns. We actually targeted the hospitals that couldn't find gowns, and we did it at cost. And we did it at cost to keep our lights on and our warehouse team members here. And actually our team members designed the gowns to get them approved. So this was all, a team effort. So we were functioning as an organization, obviously not in the same capacity in any such way, but functioning as an organization while we shut down. But during all this time, one of the things I think as we continue to look forward as who we were going to be is our relationship with our clients. It was a really challenging time for us to we had less people, communicating with clients, but the relationship parts were really important. Having that face-to-face conversations and making sure that our clients felt like that we weren't their vendor, that we were still part of their team. And as they were going through that mass change themselves, they had to furlough people, they had to let people go, they had massive changes, there were dominoes happening all throughout the industry with people changing over. We really had to be there as our partner to our team, whether it was, just having a conversation with them, being there, just just talking it out. I want to say they're therapists, but being like a retail therapist, right? But like just being their person. And even though there wasn't business to be had because the events weren't going on in some markets, we just needed to be their friend and be their support. And that was a big part of it. And as we kind of came out of it, we wanted to continue that message with our clients, is that we're not just here to work on your orders and help you with your design and be that fashion part of your business. Like, of course, that is what we do. I mean, we're your linen company, but we're also your sounding board. We want to be that conversation you have that you just need to talk something out, or you have an idea, or you're trying to build your business and you want to talk through some business development. We're your partner. We're here to help you. And we want you to feel that way. And we're not just this vendor. And that's a big message that we want to continue to carry out as an organization and as a culture, as a company, is we're not just a vendor.
Right.
And that came through.
I feel like the companies, the organizations, the people who picked themselves up through that time and just kind of ran and did different things, or just kind of morphed and changed and did what they could in the moment, really have succeeded really well.
Well, it's the companies that truly care
Right.
about what you're doing and that passion about helping people. Like you said, I loved everything that you just said, because I feel like that's how we operated too when no one was hiring. It's like you're just there as an ear, as a listening, friend, like you said,
Yeah.
just for someone to talk to.
That's how
And
the podcast came about.
exactly.
Yeah.
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 So I feel like that's how you're in linens and in the event space, and we're in staffing, but we can relate so well because we
Mhm.
care about what we do. And it's in the end, it's all about helping people, being there, being passionate about what you do. So I completely relate to everything you just said. I love that.
Yeah, I mean, I 100% feel like y'all's organization is that same cultural vibe, that you truly care about the end of, that your team and your clients in the day. Like, you bring in your clients as part of your family, and you want to understand what their needs are and understand truly what makes them tick. Like, who are they as a living organism, right? As that family. And really, each company is exactly that. They're a family dynamic, how they operate, who does what kind of personalities are the most successful, at the end of the day, and who does the best to strive in those places. And y'all really take the time to understand that. So that makes a lot of sense that y'all did something similar, because that's what it's about. It's relationship building. And if you only look at your partners as commodities, you lose.
Mhm.
Totally. What advice would you give a new person on your team that is looking to maybe they like, oh, I love, um, sales. I just want to, be the best salesperson that I can be. But how do you help them like tap into like their true passion, or like, 3 years down the road, how to grow into that person that is just, the ultimate success of what you think they can be?
Oh, it's a really good question. I think, there's a combination of fundamentals of sales, right? Like I always say, there's no magic pill, there's not a magic dust, right? Like Jack and the Beanstalk or whatever is not going to come down and give you a pill to be the best salesperson you'll ever be. There's not a magic formula. There's really basics when it comes to sales. It's truly building the funnel, understanding your market, knowing how to do analysis on where your clients are and where you can grow, understanding, the company as a whole, where it is, also understanding, if you're missing something compared to the company, why are you missing it? Is it because of the market? Is it because of you're truly just missing it? Make partners in the industry be part of the community. That is a huge part of it, especially in our world and the event industry. And I think this is, very true in a lot of businesses. You have to be part of the community. You can't just fly by night. It's like being part of a gym, right? You can pay for a gym, but if you don't go, you're not getting anything in return. It's the same thing with being in the event world and a lot of other groups, and companies like this. You have to be active in the community. You have to give back, whatever that might be, whether it's being part of a catering organization, an event organization, a design organization, a nonprofit organization that gives back and does fundraising for those in need for weddings, or those in need for, raising money nonprofit wise, whatever it might be. You should be a part of that. So that way you're not just asking in the industry, you're giving to be a part of it as well too. That makes great sales because it's not one-sided. You have to look at everything at multiple sides, and not just the event side of the part of the business too. Join your local chamberland or chamber group. That B2B business sometimes gives people ways of looking at business differently. And sometimes you find contacts that are not your standard contacts in the industry, and you find ways in that you normally wouldn't find. It's just going to your normal meeting that every other salesperson is going to. That really helps drive the needle and moves where you need to go. And use your peers too. I always think about when I hire someone, I always want the person to be smarter than me. Always. And they usually are, because that's just, that's what we hire. And because I want to learn from them. And so you should think of that way about who we bring into the company. You should think that way about your peers. You should think that way about your leadership. You should think it that way about everyone in the company. There's something you can learn from everyone, and you should take those tools and that information to really be able to grow and make yourself stronger,
I
and
love
outside
that.
the organization too. Sorry.
I love that perspective, Eve, because I think if you have that mindset of, hey, this person's probably smarter than me in these areas, or there's something I can learn from this person, you're going to treat them with respect and kindness, and that's just going to snowball, right? And it's going to be catchy. And I think that's beautiful.
Yeah, that is great advice for anyone, in life. I love it.
Oh, I do have a question for you that I wrote down. I have to ask you. So in our conversations earlier, you mentioned that you were in the role that you're meant to be in, which I thought was said so beautifully. What does that feel like, right? Because a lot of our listeners, they love what they're doing, or maybe there's a piece that maybe they feel is off. So like, can you maybe explain what that feels like, being in the role that you feel like you're meant to be in?
Absolutely. So I'll step back and say that I've been in roles that I have not meant to be in. And I think that's why I know I'm in the role that I should be in. I've worked, obviously in a lot of different positions, ground up, and worked my way up in a lot of companies. And here in this organization, started as a director of sales and came from leadership, and loved working with the sales team. I have had almost every market in this company. I have clients all over the country that I still speak to, and I loved working with the team, love working with the clients. I love looking at sales algorithms and helping people grow, and been a part of custom and a lot of other things. And at one point in my life in the organization, my peers voluntold me to be the leader of sales. So I ran sales for the whole company for about a little under 2 years. Had the great privilege of meeting a lot of different members of leadership and board and things of that nature, and go through a transition in our company. And I did it because my peers asked me to. And I have a lot of great, truly close friends that have helped me be in the position that I am today in this company, because they've given me a lot of education and support, and a great leader who I wouldn't be in the position that I am today without our CEO and the gentleman that he is, and the guidance and tools that he's given me over the last few years. So it was a great opportunity, but it was not the right position. And I say that because I know my strengths, and you have to kind of learn that the hard way. I always, in my younger career mindset, and not that I'm older in my career, but I wanted the job. I always thought I was ready for that next position. And I asked for the next job, not understanding what that would mean, and not understanding the foundations of what that was. And sometimes I had opportunities given and worked to get them, and sometimes I didn't. And I would leave companies because I always thought the grass would be greener, and learned very hard that the grass was not greener sometimes when I would go certain places. I was really fortunate when I came to, it was BBJ at the time, but BBJ La Tavola, that, the grass was getting greener and became very green where I am here now. But it took a lot of work to understand where I needed to be. And now that I'm in a role that I truly get to help people and develop people, I know that this is the right position for me, because part of what my job is training for the whole organization. And to me, that foundational ability to watch someone grow and be the most successful that they can be, and watch them get promoted, watch them strive, the confidence that they get to build, like that beats anything, period, at the end of the day. I'm very taken care of emotionally, financially, all those other things here in the company. So I'm not saying anything against any of those. But that has nothing to do with like how much my bucket is filled when someone gets that like confidence boost and developmental boost, and I have a few other hats in the organization that I really enjoy doing, because it feels like my competitiveness, my creativeness, and all those other things too. But that, to know how much I love that and get that development. And so I think sometimes you just have to realize that you may ask for something and it's not, if you have a good leader, you have to let them bring you down the right pathway.
Mm-hmm. And that's great. And I love keyword, you have to ask for something if you really want it too. If you don't
Absolutely.
ask, you may never get it.
Yeah.
Right. And then also, question for you. So right now you are in the position that you were meant to be in, but we're always continuously growing. So
Mhm.
that may change down the road, right? And
Absolutely.
so there's never like, it's not like this is like, okay, now I'm in my final destination or whatever. We're always growing. So there could be another opportunity that you may grow in down the road, and we're always, you know, still growing and being better and doing better. So
It's the journey, right?
it's the journey.
Mhm.
Yes.
But right
Absolutely.
now you are in where you're meant to be.
Right now, this time in my life, this time in the company, this is exactly where I need to be. But, I do see the future of where we're going. And, we're currently working with a lot of our team members to develop them to someone to take over training, someone to take over some national, someone to take over, and run our custom department. All these aspects and hats that I have is part of my role. We'll have managers, leaders in that position at some point. And so that gives me other opportunities to do other things in the company and gives them opportunities to grow and be developed as well too. So, I think you always have to push yourself to learn and also push others too. And so I absolutely. I think that it's more about knowing, being uncomfortable sometimes, trying things that maybe someone asks you to do that you're like, ooh, I don't know if that would be the right job for me, but you try it because someone has faith in you to try a different role, and experiencing and learning from it and learning from what you do well. And I had a very good friend in college, one of my favorite quotes ever, I will never forget from her, that she told me, in life there is no such thing at all about mistakes. Everything is practice in life, right? There's never a mistake. And so I feel the same way in work. Like, you make mistakes and you learn from them, and you have to take risks to learn.
No, that is a great quote.
I'm so glad you said that because I had practice circled big in my notes from when we chatted. I'm so glad you brought that up. That is a beautiful quote. I love that. I feel like I'm trying to pull that into my life more, whether it's like with my kids' work, when they bring it home and they bring home like a bad grade, it's like, okay, it's fine. This is a good thing. We're going to learn from this. And I try to make it more positive because it's like, how are you going to learn if you don't practice?
Right.
If you don't do it?
Yeah. And don't
Right.
rush. Don't rush.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, even LeBron James, loses the game here and there, right? I mean, like, it just happens. So, like, you have to learn. You have to fail to learn.
Right.
Doesn't mean how hard you have to fail. Hopefully you'll fail super hard, but you have to hurt a little bit in order to feel that great success and to learn what works well for you.
That is great advice.
I love that.
Eve, this has been such an enjoyable conversation. Thank you so much for sharing your insight with us and the listeners. I look forward to all the great things for BBJ La Tavola, for you and your team in the upcoming years. And
La Tavola just rolled off your tongue so beautifully. Mine was like hitting a brick wall, but I'm practicing.
I think it's perfect. We, in-house, we just call it BBJLT. So you can just call it the in-house.
Nice. I like it. I like it.
You can be part of the inner circle.
Sounds good. I like that.
But thank you, Eve, so much for being on here. Please, to our listeners, like, subscribe, rate us. We want to hear what questions you have for us or maybe for Eve, and then we'll get those over to her. But until next time,
live bold and boss up.